Approximately 1/5 of all the people in the world live in South Asia. Their region is a large triangle-shaped landmass that extends from the Himalayan mountains to the tip of India. It includes the countries of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives. South Asians speak more than 1,000 different languages and practice several different religions. The mixture of cultures found in these countries comes from the region's unique geography and history. The heights of the Himalayan mountains have always formed a natural barrier between South Asia and the parts of the world to the north. In spite of this, people from other regions have made their way across the high mountain passes or have reached the subcontinent by sea. Each group of migrants brought its own cultural traditions. About 4,500 years ago, people who lived in the valley of the Indus River began developing a civilization. They built cities such as Harappa and Mohenjo-daro and had a written language. There was a class distinction between the nobility and the commoners. We don't know much about their religion, but small figures with elaborate headdresses may have represented mother goddesses. About 1,500 BC, warlike Aryan nomads crossed the mountain passes and conquered the Indus Valley region. These light-skinned Aryan invaders from the north spoke the Sanskrit language. Sanskrit is an Indo-European language related to many of the languages spoken in Europe. Interestingly, the Sanskrit word for war meant a desire for more cows. The Aryans rode horses, herded cattle, and used iron weapons, but when they arrived in India, they had no written language or history of settling down in communities. Their oral traditions praised powerful gods of nature. Later on, these hymns to gods of nature were written down as the Rig Veda. During the Vedic Age between 1500 BC and 500 AD, the Aryans continued their conquests eastward, along the valley of the Ganges River. As they went, they adopted many cultural ideas from the dark-skinned farmers of the region, who were the ancestors of India's Dravidian peoples. Many of the Dravidians moved southward toward the tip of India, where they preserved their languages and traditions. As the Aryans became more settled in India, their beliefs evolved into the Hindu religion. During the period when Hinduism was developing out of ancient Vedic beliefs, the new religion of Buddhism began to emerge in South Asia. Buddhism was founded by a Hindu prince named Siddhartha Gautama. This founder of a great religion is represented in many different ways. According to tradition, Prince Siddhartha was born in 563 BC while his mother was resting under a sacred tree. Buddhists believe that this tree in Lumbini stands at the place where he was born. Lumbini is located on the low southern plains of Nepal, near the border with India. Buddhist pilgrims come here from around the world. When he was 29 years old, Prince Siddhartha became deeply disturbed by all the suffering in the world. He left his home and all his worldly possessions and went on a 6-year quest for the meaning of life. Finally, he felt that he understood the fundamental truths of life. At that moment, his followers believed that he became the Buddha. The word Buddha means the enlightened one. In his later teachings, the Buddha recommended an eightfold path for living a good life that is free from selfish desires for wealth, power, and pleasure. After the Buddha's death in about 483 BC, his followers spread his teachings to other parts of India. In the 4th century BC, a ruler named Chandragupta Maurya established the Mauryan Empire in northern India by conquering and combining many small kingdoms. Polished sandstone pillars carved with commandments were erected by his grandson Ashoka. These 3 lions were the emperor's symbol of authority. They were placed on top of many pillars and are the official crest of modern India. Ashoka adopted the Buddhist religion and encouraged its spread by sending missionaries to Sri Lanka and other parts of Asia. He also ordered the building of monuments in places that were important in the Buddha's life. These monuments, which are called stupas, may have been the forerunners of the pagodas found throughout much of southern and eastern Asia today. Ashoka was a great ruler, but after his death, the Mauryan Empire declined, and South Asia once again became a land of many small kingdoms. Hindus began to think of the Buddha as only one of their many deities, and Buddhism began to fade as a separate religion in most parts of India. Many beautifully decorated Hindu temples in central and southern India were built from the 8th through the 11th centuries AD. During the same period, Muslim traders and missionaries who practiced the religion of Islam brought new ideas across the Arabian Sea and the deserts of Southwest Asia. In the late 12th century, Hindu temples at Delhi were converted into Muslim mosques as Muslim rulers gained control of the region around India's present capital of New Delhi. Over the years, Muslim rulers built 7 different cities at Delhi. New Delhi was built by the British in the 19th century. It is the 8th of the great cities of Delhi. Today, most of the older cities are in ruin, but the forts, mosques, palaces, and tombs built during the period of Mughal rule are still impressive. The Mughal Empire was established in 1526 by a Muslim warlord from the Fergana Valley in Central Asia. Akbar, whose tomb is found near Agra, was the greatest of the Mughal rulers. Also at Agra is South Asia's most famous building, the beautiful Taj Mahal. This great 17th century monument was built on the orders of the Emperor Shah Jahan to serve as a tomb for his wife, Mumtaz Mahal. The expensive building programs of later Mughal emperors placed a great tax burden on the region's people. By the late 17th century, the Mughal Empire was in decline and European influence was on the rise. As early as the 16th century, Portugal had built forts and established churches in Goa, on the west coast of India. However, it was the British who eventually took over most of the region and ruled it as part of their widespread colonial empire. The British brought the English language with them, and it is still widely used today. India gained its independence from Great Britain in 1947, mostly due to the work of Mohandas Gandhi and other great nationalistic leaders. Unfortunately, what should have been a time for rejoicing became a time of bloodshed, as bad feelings between Hindus and Muslims led to the splitting of British India into separate Hindu and Muslim countries. India remained predominantly Hindu, although it still has a very large Muslim minority. Pakistan was created as an independent Muslim country and originally had 2 parts, East Pakistan and West Pakistan. In 1971, East Pakistan broke away from the rest of Pakistan to become the new country of Bangladesh. South Asia is one of the most densely populated regions on Earth. The population continues to grow rapidly. As a result, there are many more children and young people than there are older people. India has nearly 1 billion inhabitants, making it the second most populous country on Earth. Only China has more people. The people of South Asia have many different lifestyles and cultural traditions. Many people wear colorful garments. Some of their costumes may reflect religious traditions. Many Hindu women wear a sari, which is a silk or cotton cloth draped artfully around the body. Others wear full skirts and large, colorful shawls. Muslim women often wear long pants under a tunic. This dress style is also worn by some Hindu women, especially in cities. A few Hindu and Muslim women cover their faces with a veil when strangers are present, but this is no longer common in towns and cities. Turbans are popular headgear for men in Western India and Pakistan. These long pieces of cloth, wrapped around the head, provide protection from the sun and may also indicate the wearer's social status. Hindu pilgrims wear bright orange robes when they journey to visit holy places, and Buddhist monks in their distinctive reddish-brown robes are often seen in the Buddhist regions of Ladakh and the Nepal highlands. As you can tell from the many styles of dress associated with different faiths, religion is an important part of daily life throughout South Asia. As we have seen, South Asia was the place of origin for two great world religions, Hinduism and Buddhism. Today, Buddhism is the primary religion in the North Indian province of Ladakh, in the Himalayan region of Nepal, and in the island country of Sri Lanka. There are many Buddhist monasteries in these regions. Hinduism is the most widely practiced religion in most of India and Nepal. Hindu temples and roadside shrines honor many different gods that are symbolized by paintings and statues. Among the most important are Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, and Shiva, the destroyer and reproducer. Many female goddesses are also honored in Hindu temples. So are animal deities, including the elephant-headed Ganesha. All these deities are believed to be different aspects of a single great world spirit. According to an old Hindu saying, God is one, but wise people know it by many names. Hindus also believe that individual souls are reborn on earth many times until the soul achieves perfection and joins with the one eternal spirit. The route to perfection requires that a person do the duties of the caste or the social group to which he or she was born. At the top of the caste system are the Brahmins. The Brahmins are priests and teachers. Next, and in many ways as powerful, are the Kshatriyas, who were traditionally warriors and rulers. Farmers and merchants come next in rank. They are the Vaisyas. The Vaisyas are followed by the Sudras, who are laborers and workers with handicrafts. Below this in the social order are people with no caste status. These are the untouchables, who must perform jobs no one else wants to do. Such jobs include working with leather, which is considered unclean. Although the Indian government has tried to do away with the caste system, deep-rooted beliefs about one's rank and obligations continue to affect people's lives. Islam, the religion of the Muslims, is the other major religion in South Asia today. In contrast with Hindus, Muslims do not believe in using paintings and carvings of people or animals as an aid to worship, so they decorate their mosques and tombs with elaborate writings. Pakistan and Bangladesh are predominantly Muslim. Carefully wrapped turbans distinguish Sikhs, whose religion combines elements of both Islam and Hinduism. The people who follow the Jain religion try not to harm any living creature. Jews have lived on India's southwest coast for at least 2,000 years. There are also many Christians in southwest India. They believe that St. Thomas the Apostle brought Christianity here in the 1st century AD. This diversity of religious beliefs has a great effect on the way people live. For example, Hindus believe that cows are sacred and must not be killed or eaten. You will often see cattle wandering about the streets of Indian towns and cities. If you see pigs, you may be in a Christian or Buddhist village, because neither Hindus nor Muslims will eat pork. Throughout South Asia, a large majority of the people are farmers. In India, about 3/4 of the people live in rural villages and work the land for a living. In Nepal, farm villages are home to fully 90% of the population. Village homes are usually made of simple, easily available materials, like these houses in Nepal that are made of sticks covered with clay. Because country people spend much of their time outdoors, houses don't need to be very large. In addition to working in the fields, villagers make things to use and sell. Cottage industries such as pottery making and weaving cotton cloth are important to village economies. The process of making rubber is a good example of local manufacturing. In the hot, wet areas where rubber trees can be grown, they are tapped by cutting narrow grooves in the bark, a few feet above the ground. The sap, called latex, is collected in a cup. Then the latex is made into sheets of crude rubber by putting it through rollers that squeeze out the excess moisture. Coconuts from coconut palms are used to make several important products. The white meat found inside the coconuts is sun-dried to make copra. The outer husks, which surround the nut, are pounded to separate the fibers. These short fibers are very strong and can be woven into twine. The strands of twine are twisted into a thicker rope that can be used for many purposes. Fish nets are often made from this rope. Fibers from the coconut husk are also used to make mats that are exported to many parts of the world. Villagers travel to market centers to buy and sell produce and other goods. Streets in South Asian towns are full of all kinds of traffic. There are many shops offering a bewildering variety of goods and services. If you're hungry, there is always plenty to eat. Snake charmers and wandering musicians provide open-air entertainment. South Asia also has several very large cities. The Indian cities of Delhi, Mumbai, and Calcutta all have populations of more than 10 million people. Smaller cities, such as Kathmandu, Nepal, are growing rapidly. Major industries and commercial establishments are located in and near the cities. These businesses need skilled workers and provide people with more opportunities for good jobs and education than the small villages. Many people have moved to the cities hoping to find a better life. Although the traditional contrast between rich and poor still remains, many more South Asians live a comfortable middle-class life than ever before. The history of South Asia has been shaped by many influences, including the teachings of several of the world's great religions. Many of the most beautiful buildings in South Asia were created as monuments to the Buddhist, Hindu, Islamic, and Christian religions that have been practiced here for hundreds and in some cases, even thousands of years. The dress and food choices of many people still reflect their religious customs and heritage. When the region gained its independence from British rule in the mid-20th century, new countries were created. The largest and most urbanized of these countries is India, but even here a majority of the people live in farm villages and work the land. Many South Asians are still very poor, but village life has been improving thanks to newly developed crops, improved water supplies, and better education and healthcare. The prosperous middle class that is developing in the larger towns and cities also demonstrates that times are changing. Perhaps the greatest resource of this vast land is its hard-working people who are utilizing their abilities to build a better way of life for themselves and their children.